Did I watch absolutely every single minute of the 3 F1 pre-season testing days? I absolutely did. Hello and welcome to MMTV from MotorMouth. My name's Harry Benjamin. Make sure you hit that subscribe button, and you can also download our latest podcast now wherever you get your podcasts. So, just 3 F1 pre-season testing days is absolutely nowhere near enough for the teams to even get a grip on what kind of order they're going to be in, to test all their different setups, to get to grips with these new tyres that Pirelli have brought in as well, let alone for us to predict any kind of running order. But you know what? We're going to give it a go anyway. But first, here's a quick roundup of what happened over the 3 days of testing. Day 1 in Bahrain was pretty much the worst day. Hot, unrepresentative conditions, and also then a sandstorm followed in the afternoon, making running and visibility pretty bad. But we still got quite a few cars out on track across all 3 days. Now, the big thing to take into account are what's actually changed for this year, because obviously the regulations have been frozen until 2022 when we're going to get a whole load of completely different looking cars. But they have been able to do a few things for this year. Notably, the key differences are that Pirelli have introduced brand new tyres for the teams to test. They've got a whole new carcass, completely different type of grip. So that is something that the teams will have to get to grips with, if you'll pardon the pun. And also the FIA have introduced, have taken away actually 10 to 15% of the downforce on all the cars, which basically means they've cut out a big chunk from the rear, just in front of the rear tyres, to decrease that downforce. And it's basically just to slow the cars down to make sure they don't get too fast for safety reasons and to protect the tyres. So with all that in mind, let's take a little look at how each of the teams did over the 3 days. So the big takeaways, let's start with Mercedes, the reigning champions, and they don't look all conquering. Day 1 was pretty bad for them. In fact, they were blighted by a gear shift issue for Bottas in the morning, which completely sidelined him. Hamilton didn't get much running in the afternoon. He's been spinning. The car is really struggling with the rear end. It just looks slippery and hard to handle. However, come day 3 in the morning, Bottas was able to do some long runs, and he says they have found something, whatever that is, whether they've understood the tyres or they've made a setup change. Hamilton, though, still unhappy. But the big takeaway, Merc not looking that great. Red Bull, on the other hand, are looking good. They do look like the fastest car out there. They've had the most amount of running with both drivers. They've got that brand new Honda engine. Honda bringing everything for the last year there in Formula 1 officially as Honda. Car looks reliable. Perez had a bit of an engine cover issue the other day, but nothing to worry about according to Christian Horner. Day 3, another happy day. They look good. They look fast. They look reliable. They look like championship contenders. It's very exciting to see. McLaren as well, the 3rd fastest team last year. They look even better with a brand new Mercedes engine in the back of that thing. They're looking fast. Ricciardo happy as well as Norris. They've got this new innovative gearbox casing which goes round sort of a new diffuser that they have on the rear, which is working well apparently because it claws back some of the downforce they've had to cut out in front of the rear tyres. So it's working well. The way it works is that it sort of increases the airflow up through the diffuser now to claw back that downforce. And bottom line is it's running well and fast, and it's good in cool temperatures as well. Lots of rear downforce thanks to that new diffuser. McLaren looking sharp. Aston Martin, decent first day, lots of laps. They did, however, have a small electrical problem to deal with. Day 2, more electrical issues. Vettel really suffering, and then they had an induction system problem, something to do with the turbo on their power unit. Vettel, bottom line, needs more running. The car looks fast, doesn't look particularly reliable. Alpine, of course, formerly Renault, with Ocon in the car to begin with. Trouble-free day. Alonso then stepping in day 2 for his first official Formula 1 session since he left the sport. They've got a fat old engine cover, and the reason for that is they've taken everything out of their side pods to make it super slim to try and claw back that downforce they've been forced to use. So what they've done with it all, they've stuck it in the bulkhead, which makes it look really bulky, but they're hoping that is going to claw back some downforce and make them faster. They look smooth, they look reliable, but they don't look particularly spectacular. Ferrari look like they have made a small improvement to last year. The engine, according to all the Ferrari-powered teams, is better. But Leclerc did conk out with 10 minutes to go on the first day, and then Sainz had a hydraulic issue and some sort of weird crash with Raikkonen right at the end. Still not quite sure what that's about. They look like they've got a solid baseline, but they don't look like they're troubling the top 3 teams. AlphaTauri, they look good. Very, very fast indeed. Gasly said it's the best start to a test he's ever experienced. Yuki Tsunoda, rookie for this year, he's catching a lot of eyes. They let him basically go hammer and tong on qualifying runs on the final day. He looks fast. He ended the final day second only to Max Verstappen. It looks like a very, very solid car. Alfa Romeo always tend to go a bit under the radar, but they had a pretty clean and reliable few days of testing. In fact, Raikkonen managed to do almost the equivalent of 3 Grand Prix distances on the final day. They are feeling the loss of downforce though and the less grippier tyres, but they look pretty solid. Where they are in the stacking order, it's a bit hard to tell at the moment. Haas, they are struggling. Look, they haven't used any of their tokens for this year. They pretty much got an identical car to last year. They're throwing everything at 2022. So their test was basically focusing on getting Mick Schumacher and Nikita Mazepin, their 2 rookies for this year, up to speed, race runs, quali runs, pit stop practice, running through all the systems, and basically just making sure they're comfortable. Mick Schumacher saying he's very comfortable in the car and he's really excited. Look, they know it's going to be a tough season, but they're probably going to be at the back of the pack. But 2022 is when it's all going to happen for them. They had a relatively decent test, though, few reliability issues. And finally, Williams, relatively productive as well. Roy Nissany, their test driver, got a full day, but that was during the sandstorm day 1, so nothing really special to report there. Nicholas Latifi, he was pushing, had a couple of spins actually, but the car looks reliable and a step up from last year. And George Russell was pretty happy in the car for the final day. So they look like they could be a proper regular midfield hunter. But look, we can look at the times all we like, but it's so difficult to tell how fast they are and what order they come in, because we have no idea what fuel levels they're running, or what setups they're using. But what we can look at is their reliability and how many laps they did. So overall, Gasly did the most laps with 237, then Raikkonen on 229, Mazepin at 213, and Leclerc top 5 with 212. Towards the lower end, funnily enough, Vettel 100, well actually Roy Nissany was last, but I'm not including him. But Sebastian Vettel 117 laps in that Aston Martin. He needs way more time in that car just to get up to speed with everything. Nicholas Latifi on 132, and the 2 Mercs, both Bottas and Hamilton, around the 150 lap mark. So taking all that into account, these are my 3 hot picks. Hot pick number 1, AlphaTauri are going to be the 3rd or 4th quickest team. They look super strong, super fast. Gasly and Tsunoda both absolutely raving about the car. It just looks easy to drive. They've also got some nice Red Bull parts as well around their suspension. So they've got some of the senior team parts on the car this year, 2 quality drivers and a very, very strong Honda engine. 3rd or 4th fastest team. Hot pick number 2 goes to Aston Martin, who are sadly, I think, at least in the early stages of the season, are gonna struggle. Not because they're not fast. Remember, last year when they were Racing Point, they had a carbon copy of the Mercedes car. That isn't the case this year. Aston Martin have brought some new toys to the car, their own toys. So it is an evolution, but it's very much an Aston Martin evolution of the previously heavily inspired Mercedes Racing Point from 2020. But Vettel needs more time in the car. They look like they have a few reliability issues. They look fast, but I think reliability could be their undoing in the first few rounds of the season. And my hot pick number 3, Mercedes have not suddenly gone from a championship winning team to struggling through pre-season testing. They are absolutely sandbagging, but I don't think they're going to be running away with it. And I actually think there's going to be 6 drivers in the hunt for the championship. I'm going to put Mercedes up there with Bottas and Hamilton, then Red Bull with Verstappen, and crucially Perez now able to back him up. And I'm also going to stick McLaren in there as well with Ricciardo and Norris. I just think with that Mercedes engine, their new diffuser, they're going to be fast and they're going to be challenges, especially if Mercedes look like they've fallen back towards the field a little bit. They're not going to be as far out unless they suddenly claw 5 seconds come Q1 in Bahrain in a couple of weeks. But I don't think that's going to be the case. So I think there's going to be 6 drivers in the hunt, the 2 Mercs, the 2 Red Bulls, and the 2 McLarens, with an occasional AlphaTauri popping in there on the podium as well. But that's what I think, and I'm probably completely wrong. Have teams been sandbagging more than we think? We have no idea what fuel loads people were running or what setups they were doing. So all will be revealed in just under 2 weeks when we get going in Bahrain for race 1. One thing for certain though, I'm pretty sure that the grid is going to be very tightly packed and one of the more competitive seasons we've seen in the last few years. Bring it on. As always, don't forget to let us know what you think in the comments below. And if you like this video, please make sure you hit that like button and click to subscribe. And I'll see you for the next one.